This Formula One report is presented by Montreal's Neptune Pine, the first standalone full-feature smartwatch.
Joined now in studio by our F1 expert, former driver, JC Cote. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
And today we're talking about the man behind us, Lawrence Stroll. Now, most people know this guy for having boatloads of cash. He owns a Ferrari dealership in Montreal. He owns the track, the racetrack in Mont-Tremblant that I think a lot of the residents around there aren't too happy with. It gets a little bit loud when they're trying to enjoy a peaceful day in Mont-Tremblant. But hey, he loves racing.
That's
and
right,
now this Montreal billionaire wants to not only buy a part of an F1 racing team, he's thinking about buying into a part of F1 period.
That's right.
Is this going to be possible, and how does this play out?
Well, it started coming into the news earlier this year, and I think it's progressing. He sold all of his shares in Michael Kors to the tune of a little over $1.5 billion, and I think he's trying to flip that into Formula One, which is owned by Delta Co., which sounds like an umbrella corporation, but really is the company that owns Formula One.
Wow.
And so we're waiting to see what will happen.
Okay, so you're a former driver, and you're saying this could be possible. You know, he's got the dough to do it. I've got to ask this, and I've always wondered this myself. These guys, you know, they have a ton of dough, and everyone says, you know, F1 is, you know, basically a rich man's sport.
Right.
I mean, you can't, you know, be in it unless you have the money to back it up. I got to ask this, though. When a guy has that type of money, why isn't he buying the yacht and cruising around the Mediterranean? Why do they go for F1 racing? They got to be competitive guys.
Right, right. So there's a combination of things. There's passion. So he clearly has a passion for automobiles and Ferraris and fast cars. So there's that. He's very competitive, which is another element that's required to be involved in this sport. And the third thing is he has a ton of experience with brand management. He basically saved Tommy Hilfiger when Tommy Hilfiger was floundering, and he did the same with Michael Kors when he took control of Michael Kors. So he has an opportunity here to come in and help a floundering Formula One brand, which has suffered greatly over the years with the lack of competition, with the constant rule changes, with dwindling TV numbers, and you know, and to be honest, a Bernie Ecclestone who's getting a little bit long in the tooth and doesn't have the fresh ideas and the snappy ideas that he used to in the past. So there's an opportunity for Stroll.
Okay, where do you think he starts? You listed a long list of problems with F1 there. Does he start with the TV deals?
Well, it's difficult to say where, you know, it's a pretty big mess. It's a tightly woven mess, and so I think if he does get involved, and I think Formula One, the board would openly welcome him if he was part of it. Would probably he'd have a lot of investigating and sniffing around to do, I think, before he could really make a difference. Okay,
and he wants his son to be part of this as well. He's a driver.
Yes.
Do you think he's good enough to be a racer, or is Daddy just fronting the bill to get him behind a wheel here?
From what I've heard, you know, his son has had a ton of experience, a ton of training. He's gone to the best schools in the world, and I think he's performing well. What I have heard is that if his son is involved in the sport, he wants to do it on his own merits.
Right.
And so if his dad does buy into the sport or the teams, I think he would prefer to be able to enter the sport not under his father's wing, but with a team that's not directly involved with his dad. So.
Good for him. I like that, and I'll be following that. JC, thanks for your insight on this.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
This Formula One report has been presented by Montreal's Neptune Pine. Make calls, text, surf, and more without tethering.